How to scale your startup into the Latin American booming markets. Welcome to LatAm 101, to Brazil or not to Brazil. My name is Marian Lazarte. I'm Vice President and Business Development of Go South Consulting, a company dedicated to help Canadian tech companies to enter to some booming Latin American markets. We focus on business development and marketing. Thank you for attending, and we hope all of you find the good information worth it to consider to expand your business into Latin America next year. You are all going to be mute on this webinar. For those that are not familiar with GoToWebinar, you can see at the right side of your screen, you have a space there to ask questions or to write comments. You also may be doing this through your app. Then the information will be below the screen. You also have the opportunity to use the hashtag GoSouthLatam to share your thoughts or to ask questions. And just before we start, I'd like to remind you we have another 2 webinars coming up, and those are with some experts from Latin America speaking about their ecosystem and how to do business down there. This is just the beginning now. Let's start. Well, you can see there is the hashtag GoSouthLatam. So for any of you that are interested in ask questions, please be free to do it. Many of you already know that we have more than 20 countries in Latin America. Normally the question is, I don't know where to start. Some clients I hear they like to start in countries like Costa Rica or Dominican Republic, since they have had holidays there. And they don't know much about the other countries. Well, those countries are certainly worth it, but regarding technology and business, we normally advise our clients to go to those that are ready to take your business faster and probably already with some experience with foreign companies providing tech solutions. Some countries that have a good background in business and a good potential for tech are Mexico, Colombia, Chile, Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, and recently Peru is showing up. What are the common mistakes when people try to approach those countries or when they design a strategy to enter to Latin America? Let's go to the first mistake. To assume that your buyer or your partner will speak English. Besides the fact that we have many professionals in Latin America with a proficient level of English, you actually will find a poor level of English in many countries. For those that find this first wall and then think in a solution, think in any kind of solution that, for example, maybe to hire somebody in your team that speaks Spanish. This is actually the second mistake. So you can see here, let's say a person from Cuba, you hire a person from Cuba to do business in Chile. The language barrier goes beyond the let's speak Spanish. This is because in each country we have some slang, and some countries may have really their own Spanish. While doing business, you find that there is a misinterpretation in the process of negotiation something. So let me give you an example, a short example, so you can picture more or less how this works. Let's say a person from Mexico gets a purchase order from somebody in Colombia. The person in Colombia wants to pay and will say in translated mode, here, I'd like to cancel this order. If you were the buyer in Mexico, what would you think? Probably, what happened? This person is actually telling me to cancel the order. Under this context, cancel in Colombia means to pay the order. I know this is confusing because between our countries it's confusing. This is not just going to change. This fact is not going to change soon. the way we speak in each country may put some unnecessary stress in the negotiation. So, okay, I know what you are thinking now. So I don't speak Spanish, and I cannot really hire a guy who speaks Spanish just to avoid an unbelievable mistake. So what I can do? Our advice here is to hire a local in the country you decide to start. That local ideally should be a person with some experience in international business, and this person may understand your necessities and may understand your culture. Especially when you want to do business with somebody, you need to cultural understand what's going on, and then you can manage expectations. It takes time to get the right partner, but it's worth it. And you find a shortcut to a way to get your first sale. So let's go to the third mistake. Third mistake is copy and paste strategies. Let's say that you're already working in Mexico and now you like to enter to Brazil with the same strategy. Certainly, this is a strategy that readily works. Again, here you need to have a local to understand better your opportunities in the market and design a good strategy. So, okay, we have at least 3 mistakes to avoid as much as we can. And now, probably you're ready to evaluate the country and something that may fit better with your profile. Here is what we advise to our clients. Consider to enter your business through either Pacific Alliance or Brazil. Now, what's the Pacific Alliance? The Pacific Alliance is an economy bloc formed by Colombia, Chile, Mexico, and Peru. All these countries have an FTA with Canada and USA. All these countries have a strong economy, and in total, this bloc represents the counterpart of Brazil. Let's see some numbers. The Pacific Alliance represents 36% of the GDP of the region, also represents 50% of the total trade, and attracts 41% of the investment in the region. You can see here, in compare with Brazil, the Pacific Alliance has a similar GDP. In terms of population as well, they are very similar. When you start your entry strategy through any of those countries from Pacific Alliance, you'll have more possibilities to generate business faster and scale to the other countries in the bloc. Why we say you should focus in Pacific Alliance or Brazil? The first reason is because Brazil is so big and so unique. In Brazil, you have to speak Portuguese. Again, you may find a good number of people that speak some English, but in real life, you don't find a good way to do in business there, either in Spanish or English. Brazil has some of the most advanced financial and taxation system in the world, but also they have among the most complicated. Depending on your business, you will find worth it to concentrate the efforts just to Brazil. In case you do, you will have to go Brazilian. This is not bad, but for those that are thinking, let's try Mexico and Brazil, you may find your strategy overwhelming. Brazil will absorb you. This is a massive country with different numbers of possibilities to succeed. You have to be patient, and you have to have a good partner down there and really wait. But your return will speak by itself. Pacific Alliance, on the other hand, has lower barriers to enter. Taxes are similar between the countries in the bloc. But you have to consider that you will be working for different countries instead of one. Again, all depends of what your business, either in Pacific Alliance or Brazil, are worth it. And both have their own challenges and opportunities. Here we have some pros and cons of each of these countries, so you can evaluate a little bit better which one will be the ideal for your business. So first, let's take a look to Brazil. Brazil, as a pros, has a large economy, part of the BRICS countries. You will find big cities competing for your attention, like Rio or Sao Paulo. Even Belo Horizonte and Curitiba are options. One country, one side, one system, one language, one market. So you can see there you have three good advantages to start in Brazil. Now, what are the cons? Well, language, Portuguese, entry barriers, establishing a company and taxation is really challenging, especially for foreign companies. This is a big challenge, and corruption in some levels. Now, if we see the other hand, Pacific Islands, let's start with Chile. Chile, what are the pros? Government support investment and new companies in the country. Chile has several programs that may help you to financially with some of other incentives to expand your business there. Like, for example, Corfo, it's a very good institution from the government that are actually helping companies. You may find it bureaucratic in some ways, but at the end, it's very good support that some other countries don't have in place, but Chile does. Another advantage is that Chile is an early adopter and cost-effective in the market. Many initiatives generated by Chile have been followed by other countries in the region, especially those in the Pacific Alliance bloc. It's a safe place to do business and economically stable. What are the cons for Chile? Banking regulations are strict. It can be difficult to open a corporate account. This is especially difficult for foreign companies. Chile is expensive. As much as Vancouver and Toronto, isolated. Chile geographically position is far away from the other countries. Now, regarding when I say expensive, let's say you want to stay for a few months there, move there for a while, then the cost of renting is similar than these other cities that I mentioned, like Vancouver or Toronto. Same thing is with food. Food is really expensive there. If you are thinking like you're going to save some money down there, that's really not going to happen in Santiago, especially where there are some places that are super expensive in compared with some other cities. So let's move on to Mexico. Mexico pros is part of the NAFTA, and as already mentioned it at the beginning, all these countries have an FTA with Canada or USA. Of course, NAFTA has some extra advantages for Mexico. Also, Mexico is the point of entry to North America, so geographically is very well located. Good size of population and a strong GDP. The size of population is more than 160 million people, and this is a good size. It's the second size after Brazil. And what are the cons here? Is the low level of English, and well, security is a concern in some areas of the country. So just be careful every time you travel. Just take take all the necessary things that you think should be for this market. Like you don't take a taxi in the street, things like that. Just call a taxi when you have to call a taxi. When you have to take a taxi. There are some points that I can give you later about these countries. Let's continue with Colombia. It's welcoming to investment and new companies. Competition between cities, especially Bogota and Medellin, for those in tech. We definitely will recommend to take a look to Medellin. Medellin has changed a lot in the last 15 years. And, the city has become one of the tech hubs in Latin America, and certainly is the tech hub in Colombia. If you're doing business in the financial sector or the traditional sector, other traditional sectors, then Bogota is your option. Colombia is also entry point of Central and South America. And well, that's certainly an advantage. It's very close to Panama and also, to Ecuador. So kind of like it's very well located geographically. And what are the cons? The cons are, well, safety is still improving and it's still a concern. The low level of English, again, establishing a corporation or open a bank account can be a challenge. It is not allowed to have a bank account in US dollars. You may find that different to other countries like Chile or Peru, for instance. Colombia, you have to deal with Colombian peso, and all negotiations are in Colombian peso. And I know that some companies may have an USD account, but in Panama. So, some banks have those kind of alternatives. Where in the country really is the Colombian peso. Peru, what are the pros? So it's a very strong economy right now. It's an early adopter with some limitations. Good geographical position between Chile and Colombia. Both are fast-growing markets in the region. And here I like to stress that Peru has put a lot of efforts in to improve Lima city. Still, like as you can see in the cons, Lima has a problem with transportation, but the government really is putting some efforts and some money on this. It needs to improve a lot, but it's slowly working. For Peru cons, we have that it's relatively new doing business with foreign high-tech companies. This is, normally Peru is well known for tourism, or is well known for mining. For those sectors, for sure, they have experience with foreigners. For things like technology, this is kind of new for them. In general, like have startups or have some companies giving some solutions in the market regarding technology will be a challenge to negotiate something there. It's still new for them. Again, low level of English. And then the transportation may be difficult. The traffic is one of the worst in Latin America. Infrastructure needs to improve. I've been there. I've been in Lima. And really, you have to think in advance your appointments when you go for a business travel. And you may schedule appointments between 3 hours, 4 hours, between them, because the traffic is just terrible. Now, if you are like moving around downtown, then it's less time, but still you have to consider, transportation is not really efficient there. So don't trust Google Maps when they say it's going to take 20 minutes or 15 minutes. It's going to take longer for sure. So think in advance that part. Well, that was our first webinar. As you can see here, we have some points that are worth it to consider going to Latin America, either through Pacific Alliance or through Brazil. Again, I'd like to remind you that we are going to have some other webinars. The next webinar will be talking about the Pacific Alliance countries with some of the experts in business development. So we have Marcos Strayer from Chile Global Angels. We have Carlos Jaramillo from Ruta N in Colombia. Junsu Pardo from UPC in Peru. And finally, Pedro Lopez Seda from Fomento Geek in Mexico. We hope you can join us on December 9th. And as well, we complete this series of webinars. We have one just focused in Brazil. That one will be on December 15th. So either you are focusing one or another, I invite you to please pay attention to the next webinars. Now we are taking some questions from the audience. And here we have our first question from Frank in Edmonton. All cities in the Pacific Islands look attractive. Where shall I start my own business? My field is in marketing and advertisement. Well, Frank, I think for the kind of business that you are looking for, it's difficult to me to say exactly, marketing and advertisement may be a lot, but I will say Mexico and Chile are good alternatives for you to consider to enter to those markets. Also, it will be relatively easy to go to Colombia and Peru once you enter to any of those markets first. So again, we may need a little bit more details about your market for you to give you a proper advice, but Mexico and Chile for sure are good markets. Now let's take Anna from Vancouver. How dangerous is to go to Mexico or Colombia for a woman traveling? Well, Anna, yeah, that's a good question. Going to Mexico and Colombia, you have to have some considerations regarding security. There is no the bad things in security happening like we see in the movies or things like that. But still if you're traveling alone, what I said at the beginning or when I was talking in the webinar, don't take a taxi in the streets, just call a taxi. If you are in your hotel, call a taxi from your hotel. Don't try to take a taxi in the street. That's dangerous. Don't walk alone at night. In some places of the main cities, you may find troubles. It's the same that you may find in Chicago, for instance, or any other big city. So it's just to consider those points. So basically, is that just consider you're not walking in the street with your cell phone that may be calling attention of others. So that will be some of the things that you have to think in advance. Now, Max from Toronto, how long will take for my company to enter to Latin America? Well, it depends, but normally it will take 1 year, and it takes several visits. This is not something that it happens in one visit. Relationships are important in Latin America, so you need to really build a relationship. And here, I will say you will hear that this may be too expensive. It's just plan in advance. Plan with 4 or 5 months in advance, and your trip is going to be less expensive. I can tell you that because I was trying myself for 2 years in Latin America to different countries, and I have to rent apartments. I have to go, take airplanes, all that. So I know that it can be expensive, but it gets expensive when actually you are planning with 2 weeks or let's say 1 month in advance. So this is something to consider to plan, a year and ahead. We're thinking now what to do in 2016. Well, thinking in summer what you can do regarding any visit, yeah, around June, around May, things like that. Just plan in advance. That's all that I have to say. And for the others that have questions, please send us the questions to our email address. You can see there our website or through Go South LatAm hashtag, and we'll be happy to help you with any other questions you have. Thank you so much for attending our webinar, and we are looking forward to see you on December 9th for the next one.